Chapter 5. A Bag of Numerous Nasty Things.
Okay, Master Goblin. This is your quest, so let's hear it. Our kingdom is surrounded and besieged. Everything from here to the plains of abandoned hope and paralyzing fear is a battleground. So enlighten me. Exactly how do you plan to get out? How do you plan to even take your first step on this road trip?
The Lieutenant of Lament asked, voice growing more annoyed with each word. Of all the friends Ollie had made since finding the lock, she was definitely one of them. And the most pushy. Probably just under a lot of stress, or tired from wearing such big armor all the time. Did shadow creatures get tired? Or maybe she was just really happy for Ollie? She certainly had been excited since he'd shown off his mark and the friends it made. Maybe that was...
Hello? Hello?
The lieutenant was clapping her hands in front of his face.
Oh, my Dark Lord, you are going to die so quick out there. Please, just get on with it. Pick a direction. Would you like to get trampled by a war mammoth on the plains? Or carried off by what's left of those infernal eagles? Oh, or I know, you can all drown in the rapids of regret.
Oh, goblins float!
Hob said.
No can drown. Oh, yes, it is true.
Job stroked his decidedly beardless chin.
Goblins are rather buoyant.
Hey, some goblins girls!
Lintu snapped.
Buoyant.
Job said, sounding it out.
Girls!
Lintu retorted.
Someone please drown me.
The lieutenant mumbled.
Everyone! Everyone!
Ollie shouted, jumping up and down.
We no go any of those ways!
Oh, won't see mammoth.
Robert sighed.
One day, big cousin.
Ollie patted him on the shoulder, or tried to, but could only reach his lower back.
But today, goblins go secret way. Goblin way.
How did you know about this?
The Lieutenant of Lament asked. Ollie couldn't see any face inside her helmet, but his acute goblin intuition told him she was confused.
This goblin way,
Ollie said simply.
No, this is the Geist Gate. An ancient monolith built of the cremated remains of an army from the 1st and a half age. Only the Dark Lord can harness its power. A single drop of his burning blood is enough to rip open this portal to hell and draw out all manner of servants and foul and mighty.
The big stone loomed tall over them, silent, watching. Moss wrapped up its sides, and runes ancient and mysterious covered its face. Petroglyphs had been carved into it, depicting the carnage of conquest and battle, while teeth and tusks from all manner of beasts jutted from its face.
Maybe to boss this Geist Gate, but to goblins is Goblin Gate. But this wrong side.
Ollie led the group to the rear of the stone. There were petroglyphs there, too, but mostly stick figures in blobby circles with smiley faces.
This Goblin Gate,
Ollie said, and if the lieutenant wasn't mistaken, there was something approaching reverence in his voice.
Goblin Gate,
Lin 1 said.
Goblin Gate,
Lin 2 agreed, and then the whole group was chanting it in rhythm.
Goblin Gate, Goblin Gate. Goblin Gate here long as Ollie remember,
he explained over the chant.
Long as Ollie's mom Olive remember. Long as Olive's mom Oliver remember. Long as Oliver's mom Olive remember.
It's been here a long time, got it.
The lieutenant said, arms crossed.
Does it do anything? Besides...
She leaned in close, scrutinizing the simple shapes carved into it.
Besides keep baby goblins entertained?
Ollie hawked a glob of spit into one hand.
Delightful,
the lieutenant scoffed. But then, with the others still chanting, Ollie pressed his spit-filled palm to the monolith.
Goblin Gate make goblin go. Goblin gate make goblin come. Goblin gate we say hello, and please do now to do eat that one.
Ollie said it with a bouncing rhythm, then pointed at Hob. Hob pumped a fist in the air and then charged forward. He ducked his head low and sprinted right into the monolith, where he cracked his forehead and promptly bounced right back off. He cheered again, this time with much less enthusiasm, seeing as he was cross-eyed and the lieutenant was pretty sure thoroughly concussed. Around him, the other goblins got out of sync and their chant slowly fell apart. Except for Robert, who hadn't really gotten the rhythm down in the first place, but was pushing along determinedly.
Oh, oops, Ollie forget.
Ollie hawked another wad of spit into his palm, then pressed it against the stone again. This time, though, right in the center of some sort of swirly glyph.
Sorry, Hobby, work this time.
He waved his free hand until the chant was picked up once more. When it was going something approaching strong, he repeated the definitely not real incantation.
Goblin gate make goblin go. Goblin gate make goblin come. Goblin gate we say hello, and please now to do eat that one.
Hob gave another cheer and stumbled forward into the stone. He was off target, but a good shove from one of his cousins got him back on course. The lieutenant winced, but Hob didn't headbutt the stone this time. Instead, there was a gurgling, sucking noise, and he fell through it, like it was thin air. Or something closer to viscous mud, but close enough. All the same, Hob was gone.
Again!
Ollie cheered, and Job jogged stiffly through the goblin gate.
Where is it sending them?
The lieutenant asked, after checking to make sure no goblins were appearing on the far side of the rock.
Out!
Ollie said with a shrug.
Yes, but actually, you know what? I don't care. My job was to get you to the border, and I'm gonna say this is close enough. You all have fun out there, and die quickly for me, yeah?
How we all doing?
Welcome. Yes, how are we all doing? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Soundbooth Theater Live.
Live, baby.
My name is Justin Thomas James, and as you can see, we are here with the incomparable Ryan H. Reed up to my upper left, and the delectable, lovely Miss Rumples.
Wow, thank you, Justin.
Well, it's lovely to have you, but that is not all.
In Steel Magnolias or something.
Oh, yes, but of course, Georgia Peaches. All right, so we also got someone else, a ghost, the Phantom of Soundbooth Theater Live. Phantom, make yourself known!
Boo.
How terrifying! Good God.
That's right, Dory Sachs.
Hi.
Sorry, you
the
say
wonderful, The wonderful Dory Sachs. The disembodied voice from all of our imaginations.
Hi, I'm the ghost of Soundbooth Theater. I like to haunt everybody and make their dreams just, a little more unpleasant. It's a hard job, but
Thank
somebody's
you.
got to do it over at Soundbooth.
Yeah.
How
It's a
else do I keep their
dark
minds
but
nice
gentle
and
little ghost.
yeah,
It's
I
a
mean, how else
favorable
am I going to
haunting.
keep their minds messed up? So,
Yeah.
they
Well,
It's our creative
we love having
juice.
you around. You're just a great.
Yes.
You just have such great spirit,
And not only for this cold open, but for the release yesterday, you brought the wonderful world of Wriggly Little Hands to life, written by Alex Knight. And that's who, that was a little sampling. Now, was that from the text, or was that something that was written additionally for Soundbooth Theater Live?
No, that's from the text.
Awesome. So we got a little bit of, a little taste of what's to come. I've heard nothing but amazing things, all the reception from everyone that's picked it up so far. So
Yes,
congrats,
it is
Dory,
being
on an
very-
awesome release.
Thank
Very
you.
well loved indeed.
Thank you so much.
We are going to be the author of which, actually, Alex Knight. He's going to be coming in right after the news segment for an interview, and so our very own Dory Sachs Spirit will be chatting with him, and as we all will, and you'll get to learn more about Wriggly Little Hands. But first,
The news!
That's right, everybody. It is time for the news. I don't know if I'm in rhythm. So, first thing, general Soundbooth Theater and community announcements. The Soundbooth app. If you have no idea what I'm talking about,
We've been
then
talking
where
about it
have
for
you
weeks,
been this whole time? Right? The Soundbooth app is now available for download on iOS and Android. You better come join our community of listeners. The sheet actually says listers. Community of listers to enjoy the best in immersive audio entertainment. You might think that this is the best in immersive audio entertainment.
Not quite.
No. It is the Soundbooth app. That's where you're going to find it. I'll
That's
tell you
right.
what. All right. And that's that. So get that
Exactly.
out right now.
Next up, we've got notable new releases, upcoming releases, and the individual title news. So, as we are all here and aware, Wriggly Little Hands by Alex Knight is available now on Audible. That released yesterday. And look at that cast. We've got Dory Sachs, Justin Thomas James, Gary Furlong, Ryan H. Reed, Christopher Raglan, Tiana Camacho, Jeff Hayes, and Andy Parsono.
Oh my God. Oh
Do we
my
have-
God.
Absolutely stacked.
And look
Yes.
at that cover.
I know, isn't it? It's
so
like
cute.
I can't wait to
So
hop in and talk
cute.
about it. It's yeah. I had a blast doing it, and I was even just fraction of a part of it, and it was incredibly fun.
Yep, I can relate.
Up next, we've got A Wrinkle in Crime, the zombie cosmetologist novel by J.D. Blackrose. That one is coming to the Soundbooth app tomorrow, May 29th. We are so excited to bring this crazy, unique mystery with comedy, zombies, the whole mess. It was, it's so hard to pick because I worked on 3, and we'll hear about all of them coming up, but I worked on 3 amazing projects this last couple months, and Wrinkle, to pick any of the 3 as a favorite or anything, but they were 3 of my favorites that I've gotten to work on in a really long time. Wrinkle in Crime is one of the wittiest, funniest ones that I've ever been a part of. Y'all should check it out. It's truly a blast. That's coming out tomorrow.
Oh, yes.
And that is not it, so we can remove that from the screen, God, but thank you. A Wrinkle and Crime. It was, but that one looks fun too, so good on you, T. Don Richard. I'm excited for your release in 2007 as well.
I don't know, is there...
Look at the nose. I
It's
love
a
the
look into my
nose.
future.
And I want the
I want
dress.
to read this. A May list mystery. May list.
You know what? Actually, we'll hit up T. Don Richard and see if we can get a copy, and maybe I'll follow up A Wrinkle and Crime with A Wrinkle in Crime. But no, it was a blast. I tell you what, J.D. Blackrose, Joelle is her name. Is just one of the wittiest writers I've gotten to work with. Like, it was just so easy to narrate this book because I just had a blast through and through. And it's a first person narration coming from the POV of this zombie who was resurrected in the Civil War and gets so good at concealing his own zombiehood, getting rid of the green and all the scars and stuff, that he becomes one of Hollywood's top cosmetologists for the stars. And he gets himself wrapped up into this giant caper where these bodies start going missing. So they're trying to the police captain is like, well, I know that this guy's a zombie, so it's probably him. He's stealing body parts for himself. And he's like, wasn't me, and it's this whole involved thing. It's coming out in 4 parts. We're releasing one a week for the next 4 weeks, if I'm not mistaken there. But I do know that the first part comes out tomorrow. And next up on our list is Mimic and Me Part 4 by Cassius Lang and Ryan Tang. It is available for pre-order right now on Audible and is coming out on June 10th. We are so excited. The 4th installment of this one. It gets, I mean, if the cover art tells you anything, it just gets crazier each time we come back
So
to
awesome.
Chester.
That's so
And
much fun.
Jeff and I commit to also making Chester a bit crazier each time too. So we've got, I think, 3 to 4 new voices of people that Chester the Mimic has eaten up and absorbed their qualities, and also then of course their voices. We've got one of my favorites that Jeff and we came up with was this Italian philosopher. So we've got, because as Chester is growing and becoming a little more intelligent, he eats a thesaurus or a dictionary at some point. So he's starting to learn these words. So we gave him this angsty Italian philosopher. It's great. Jeff always just
Amazing.
kills it on that one, and it's just such a blast to play off him. So yeah, coming June 10th. Get your pre-ordering right now.
Hey, and for those of you who already pre-ordered it, we did actually change the date. You might have noticed. It was June 3rd, but Audible said there might be some site maintenance happening that week. So
They said it was
we
best
moved
for us
to the
to.
10th.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
So it is still coming, just 1 week later. And one of the ones that I'm personally very, very excited about is the Mud Puddle Manual of Natural Magic by Sierra Bloom. This is gonna is available for pre-order. I know that there was some issues yesterday as getting that started, so I'm fairly positive those have been ironed out. But again, just issues, kind of miscommunication with Audible. But that one will be out on June 24th, and this is a cozy fantasy featuring plenty of magic, myth, and a sentient bookshop. Come on,
Another
what's not to love?
awesome
Cozy.
cover. I love that.
Yes, I
Yeah.
know. It's gorgeous. And, you know,
Yeah.
a lot of times we'll take covers and revamp them and come up with new ones and stuff like that. But this one, Susan, our wonderful graphic designer, and I looked at and just said, you know, it just needs maybe, let's give it a little more sparkle and let those gems down at the bottom, give them a little gleam, and we're set.
Beauty.
And so, yeah,
Yeah.
it's.
Yeah,
lovely.
it looks like something you'd
It's
actually
lovely.
find at like a witchy-themed bookstore.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
totally,
Yeah,
totally.
true.
And
Right.
this one is going to be featuring. So I'm lead narrator on it. I had an absolute blast with this one, and I mean, goodness gracious, what a cast! We've got Andy Parsnow leading all of the female parts, Travis Baldry as 3 of the male parts, and Jessica Threet filling out the rest of the female cast.
I
and
cannot
it
wait
is
to hear this.
holy cow, guys! I've been and Rich, who's backstage right now, running all of our sound and stuff right now. He was. Did an incredible job polishing it. We still have Guillaume Leon writing incredible music. I'm not kidding. It is like
It is.
it's stunning.
It
I'm
is.
just I couldn't
Is
be
this
happier.
the one I got the sneak peek of?
Yes, yes.
Oh,
yep.
it's so good.
Yeah, he
It's so
just
good.
kills it. And so I
Kills
am so excited to watch this magical thing come to life.
Yeah.
It has been just such a joy, a labor of love. I've put so many hours into this bad boy, and I think people are going to love it.
Fantastic.
Beauty,
All
beauty.
right.
All
Well,
right.
thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan. Moving on to events. Aha, LitRPG Con is less than 2 months away. July 18th through 20th. We have an amazing lineup of guests, panelists, vendors, and entertainment, including much of the SBT team, including moi. Is everybody here? Everybody in this group going? Dory, are you going? Dory.
I will not be there, but I will have
Dory.
my
You have to maintain your ghost
ghostly
status.
incorporeal
Yes.
form
Yes, we'll have to bring her voice with us.
make its way over.
Yes.
You'll be there in spirit.
Yeah.
Yes. Check out the website, subscribe to the newsletter, or follow LitRPG Con on social media, which they have a Facebook and an Instagram, for more information. We can't wait to see you there. We can't wait to
Get your
be
tickets.
there.
Oh my
We'll
gosh,
hang out.
yes.
It's gonna be a
gonna
blast.
Yep.
There's never been such a concentration of lit RPG people in one space.
It's gonna be. It's gonna be.
And I'll tell you what, if you've never gotten a chance to
Historic.
meet any of the people in the Lit
It is
RPG
gonna be
community,
historic.
I know I've talked about it in previous streams, but it is the most welcoming, loving, amazing community. Like,
Yeah.
no hate anywhere. It's just,
Wonderful community.
oh, it's amazing. I'm just, my heart
Fun,
is
cute,
thumping with
loving.
excitement just knowing that we get to do that in a couple months.
Creatives.
We can hear it, Ryan. So
Bum, bum,
loud.
bum,
It's 'cause I got a big
bum,
heart,
bum, bum, bum,
Justin.
bum, bum.
It's because I've been doing my cardio. Keep my
There you
cardiovascular health
go.
up.
There you go. Hey, lastly on the news, before we pop over to interview Alex Knight, he's waiting in the green room, ready to go. We have notable upcoming SBTL, which is a break. We are heading into another hiatus. But don't worry, there is going to be some SBTL content. The cinema is going to be having 2 episodes over the break, one in June and one in July. So this is just some time for us to take a breather, enjoy the summer, and you just take some time so that when we come back, I believe in August or September, we have
Fresh-faced
God, when do we
fresh-
come back?
Yes.
August.
Thanks, God.
August. Thanks God. Yes, yes, we'll be back in August. So, definitely hang out in the channel still and check out the cinema, and also keep your eyes peeled on the SBT channel, which has audiobooks being released for you to listen to absolutely free every week. So
We just had
or parts of
by,
them.
well, yeah, which ones are out right now? I know that we've got The Wayward Bard.
That's right. And then the second one out is Pilgrims by
And I thought there was
Michael
one by
Leonard.
author S.L. Rowland.
Well, S.L. Rowland, actually, quick news on that. Pangea is wide, and it's going to be available very soon on the Soundbooth app, if it's not available already. So
Be on
stay
the
tuned for
lookout.
that.
Amazing.
Yeah. And that is
And
the
that's the
news, everyone. Voila. Let's
Thank
bring
you.
out our first author, Alex Knight. Alex Knight. Is he here?
The applause
Those are
should be for
enormous
y'all.
books in your library. Enormous.
Well, maybe I'm just really small, actually. It's all about the perspective, you know?
That's true.
Goblin
I'm sorry.
sized.
Goblin
set all the way up
size. There you go.
So
Yo,
Alex,
this is insane.
welcome to the show. It's your first time here.
Yeah. Thank
And,
you for having me. I'm literally starstruck right now, hearing all these incredible voices that worked on Wriggly and so many other books. Justin, I heard a little bit of a Jeff Goldblum in there. You're kind of pulling for the Pangea. I'm gonna keep that in my memory.
You continue to speculate.
There might be a character for that in the future.
Yes. Well, we've taken on Wriggly Little Hands, and obviously it's released now, and that's our first project with you, and it's been an absolute pleasure working with you this entire time. And I have been working with you, just in the coordination, and I did some voices, but the person who has the strongest connection, I would say, with your story of our team, of course, is the spirit of SBT, Dory Sachs here. Dory.
Yes.
Yeah, I was working
here's
on
Alex.
Wrigley.
Oh my! It was amazing. It was probably some of the most fun I had ever had working on a narration. I mean, as somebody who already has a voice that kind of errs on the side of cartoony, I guess I usually get to work on a lot of kind of sillier, more lighthearted titles. But this one was probably by far the silliest and the most fun. I felt like I was truly reading a cartoon. So whenever we had this huge cast of characters, all these amazing voice actors in it, Justin and Ryan here, and we had Andy and Tiana and all these amazing people, and everybody asked me before doing their lines, is there any kind of advice you can give, what's kind of the direction here, and I just gave the same advice to everyone. I just said this is a cartoon. So just make it as crazy as possible. If you think you are going too hard, you are probably not going hard enough. So just go crazy. And there were all these amazing directing sessions with Andy, Tiana, and Christopher Ragland. And it was just so much fun. Just the whole process was just definitely a lot of fun. So thank you for writing just a fun book.
No kidding. Alex, would you be able to tell us and the viewers a little bit about Wrigley and its conception and just a little bit of the story?
Yeah, sure. Well, and also thank you all for doing such an incredible job bringing it to life. I'm gonna say something not okay on here, but I don't like listening to my own audiobooks typically. I don't like reading my own writing. I don't like hearing my own writing read. When Justin sent me the proof of Wrigley, I was in the middle of a very busy day, and I think I literally sat there for an hour and 30 minutes and just listened to chapter after chapter after chapter.
Oh,
I was blown. I could not believe it. It was insane. You all did such a good job on it.
Thank you. That is some of the highest praise. We really appreciate that. And we get that more often than you'd think. It's not you're not crazy out in left field. There's a lot of authors that don't like to hear their own stuff, and as long as there's still a respect for the work that we do, because there's some people that we've talked to that are like, "Nah, I hate audio." I'm like, "Great, thank you so much. I hate writing." No, but we no. So yeah, I completely understand. But what high praise. We really appreciate that. But yeah, so tell us a little bit about how did we get to Wrigley? How did it come to be?
There were 9 published novels of mine before Wrigley, and I think that I've always wanted to write comedy, really, and never just been brave enough to do it. I've been told many times from publishers, comedy's not going to pull the numbers, it's not going to be on market, it's not going to be a hit, and I think I really needed those 9 first novels to get the courage, really, to just be like, you know what, I'm just going to write silly jokes and bad puns, and we're going to roll with it.
Yeah.
And I love road trips, and I love like road trip movies and stuff. So Wrigley actually started as a fantasy spoof of planes, trains, and automobiles.
Amazing.
Oh, wow.
And the working title was Horses, Wagons, and Dragons. And that was the title the whole way through writing it. But I feel like I tested it with some folks, and no one was making that connection. It's like, all right, we'll figure out a different title for it, because that one wasn't working. And that's just kind of where it started. And I don't think I didn't have much of a plan. I didn't know who the goblins were going to be, or exactly what the world was going to be like. We kind of just got there as we got there, I suppose.
Are there any particular? I mean, there's a huge cast in Wriggly Little Hands. There's so many. Just when I think that I'm like, okay, I've got my characters. We know who this story's about. 75% through the book is like, okay, here's a new character that's got his own personality, and he's very engaging. Who were some of the characters that really stood out to you in writing it?
I mean, well, the goblins are the main characters, so it's a little bit of an unfair answer, but I just wanted them to be funny at the outset. And at some point during the writing of the book, they like became weirdly wholesome, and I started to really deeply care about them. And that was fully not the plan. I didn't set out to be like, I'm going to make goblins cute. It was just, I'm going to make goblins funny. And I don't know how it happened, but somehow they became adorable, and I can't get them out of my heart.
Yeah, I thought that was it was a very striking aspect of the book, is that after a while you kind of realize, like, these goblins, like, they're a family, and they all really care about each other. So, like, some of the best moments of the book were definitely, like, when one goblin is put in any sort of danger, or the rest of the goblins will rally up and will do their best to defend their family member. And it's wholesome is a great word for it.
Well, thank you. And Dory, I just have to say, it is absolutely surreal hearing your voice not through the audiobook. Like, even if disembodied though it may be, thank you for your incredible work in leading the book.
It's my pleasure.
Insane. I can't believe that any of this is happening.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the writing process for you, Alex. You said that you'd written 9 books first, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to do something funny. And was it something that you charted out fully, or how did it come to you as you were writing it? Was it a smooth process?
I distinctly remember struggling a lot with the plotting of it, which is not typically the case. I'm typically pretty good at plotting, and I just really didn't know where this one was going. And I think at some point I just got fed up with it, and I was like, you know what? We're gonna roll with the vibes. It's supposed to be funny, right? The goblins don't know where they're going, so I guess I don't know where they're going either, except for some vague thing off in the distance. And I just kind of thought up, ridiculous concepts as they went. And I just, honestly, as they were writing, I just kept giving them more strange plot items, more, what do you call that? The item that is necessary for whatever reason to fulfill a plot. MacGuffin, thank you.
Yeah.
I literally went, I'm just going to give them the craziest assortment of MacGuffins I possibly can, and we're going to figure out why those are relevant as we go.
Right.
And that's how we end up with a fireproof oboe and a stone that just leaks salt water constantly.
Yep.
So it was a very intuitive process for you.
Yeah, and just I think it's a little bit of without being too self-congratulatory, I think I'm decently funny in real life. But when I sit and think about how I execute on that humor, it's very much an in the moment, like, see an opportunity, go for the opportunity.
Right.
You can't plan it. It's nothing like it's advanced as improv or something, but it's somewhere on the improv side of the line instead of like stand up, right? So I kind of just wanted to do that with the book, of just like, I'm just going to write them into situations, and they're at a wagon dealership now, we're going to make fun of BMWs not using turn signals. Like, we can find places to put things like that in there.
Yeah, your comedy shone through in all the parts that I got to be. Now, my favorite one that I got to do. You're gonna have to forgive me. Remind me of the name of the little piece. Yeah, Dr. Viscous.
Oh, Dr. Percival Viscous.
Yes.
The wet beef jerky.
He's just a piece of wet beef jerky in a jar. I had so much fun. Oh my gosh. Yeah, where did he come from? Where was that rattling around in your brain?
I've always wanted to do a mad scientist. And he was the opportunity for it. He was actually originally going to be Dr. Percival Vicious. and it was a typo that made it viscous, and I went, no, that's way better. That's so much better. So again,
Happy
he was just-
accidents.
exactly.
Yeah.
You got to roll with it, right? Sometimes the funniest stuff just falls in your lap. I honestly, I don't even know where he came from. I just kind of always, I guess if I really think about it, one of the first things I wrote like way back in middle school was like an opening scene for like a mad scientist. It was completely unoriginal in every facet. I was like, I thought it was the greatest thing ever, and looking back at it, it's like, oh nope, mad scientist, Igor assistant, scary castle, lightning strike. So I guess I've
Not
always been
contrived
fast-
at all. Yeah, no.
yeah, not in the slightest. So yeah, I think he kind of just been maybe kicking around in the head ever since then. But Ryan, did you do? Correct me if I'm wrong here, but did you do the voice of Job as well?
Yes.
I get big time Nathan Lane vibes from it.
Oh,
and I
yeah,
just wanted
absolutely.
to say, God, that's perfect. You nailed
Okay,
it.
good,
It's
good, good, good.
incredible.
Because, you know, and especially I love working on a project where I'm not the lead. I just get to hop in and do some voices. And I want to create as much range as we can that makes sense for the characters. And so I didn't want to give Viscus a completely like maniacal sound, so he's just loud and insane. And then we've got Job, who I gave him he's got a little swish to him. He's like a little, oh, I don't know. Oh, Lord. Yeah, so it was a blast to get to do it. Thank you for writing such fun characters. It was just so easy to sink your teeth into them.
I get a lot of people asking me about writing stuff because I do a live stream in the mornings, but a lot of new authors come in and they ask me questions about how to write. And one of the realizations I've had from that is the magic of writing, I think, exists between when you think of it up here, when you put it onto the page, and then that gap between the page and the reader's mind where their imagination fills in the spots that you left blank. That's where the magic comes from. And I feel like that's what y'all did with the characters. Like, I almost didn't want to give you a lot of direction with the character voices or anything because it's your jobs clearly you're incredible at what you do. I just wanted to give you essentially like an improv prompt with the character and just be like, go for it and
have
look
fun.
what you created.
Yeah, I just bought it yesterday on release day to start listening to because it is so hard to get through as you're doing so much audio throughout your day as a narrator to then go and listen more. But like this one, I was like, every bit that I got to hear Dory do, every bit that I heard, I had to. I'm making time for it. So this is my like fall asleep to, and then when I'm like, where did I stop remembering things? And then I'll go to that point in the next night.
Well, thank you, and I fully understand what you're saying because my reading schedule is abysmal at this point. I'm so slow. Yeah. You get it. You guys record audio all day. I write words all day. It's so hard to go and enjoy it after that. Like, I want to not be at the computer screen after 6 hours of writing each day.
Exactly.
Definitely. So what are you working on now, Alex? You've got Wriggly Little Hands out, and you just released another book right before it, right?
Yes, Servant of Rage. It's completely different. It is a bordering on like dark fantasy, Joe Abercrombie inspired, low fantasy, set in like a Mongolian inspired world at the time of like Genghis Khan's conquests.
Wow.
I describe it as Highlander meets Dragon Ball Z.
Okay.
So I'm committed to 2 more books in that trilogy, and then I want to do nothing. Oh, look at that! There it is. Thank you for that, God, I believe.
Yes, that's right.
Yep.
So I've sold the rights to the next 2 in that series. So those, contractually have to be written. Other than that, I want to take Wriggly Little Hands and I want to make it my Discworld. Basically, I just want to keep writing stories in there, exploring every different aspect of it.
So you're hoping to have the world be like a central universe, and then other characters will be the main. It's not always going to follow Ollie.
I definitely want one more book following Ollie,
Sure.
Ollie and his family. I mean, I'm not done with them yet. But then, I think there's a lot of other fun characters in there, and it's just such a wide, silly world. I got a lot of joy in writing the jokes. So I wrote the jokes and they were stupid and I laughed at them. Then my wife worked, we both work from home. So I ran over to her office and I was like, sorry, whatever you're doing, I have to tell you this stupid joke that I just wrote. So then she would laugh. So then I'd come back and I sent it to my editor and my editor got to laugh at it. And then I re-edited it and I laughed again. And then I get to hear it published and I laugh at it again. And I'm just like, y'all, the sheer joy that this is producing it's just too high to work on anything else. I mean, my days are so much brighter when this is what I'm working with.
And it makes
I
it
don't
so
wanna
much
leave it.
easier to be that inspired and that, joyful about what you get to work on,
Yeah.
Exactly.
I could
Plus,
easily. Oh,
oh, sorry.
sorry.
Go ahead. No,
I was-
please.
I was gonna say I could easily see like a series of the detective Sherlock Stones doing like different little mysteries and crimes throughout the universe.
I would love that. He needs a sidekick, and then we can set him off into the world. That would be lovely.
Exactly, because how often do you see like detective stories in like a fantasy setting?
That's kind of something I've been obsessed with lately. It's just like fantasy as a container, call it a petri dish, and then every other type of story can go in there. We can have a heist, we can have a fantasy heist novel or a fantasy thriller. Like that's very much what I'd love to do, but all seen through a lens of the wackiness of. I need a name for the world, but the world of Wriggly, I suppose.
Yeah.
The world of Wrigley.
And so besides the fact of it being a that road trip kind of basis, I also got a little bit of Lord of the Rings, the One Ring vibe, but
Yes.
now from like a mishap group of like the bad guys kind of, you know what I mean? Was that at all a basis of it?
I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan,
As
and I
one
knew
should be. Annie. Every time it comes up, I'm gonna drag her ass.
I love it. Thank you for doing the important work on this. You didn't hear me say
here to
that.
defend
Yeah,
herself.
Annie. We were talking about Lord of the Rings, so we had to shame you. Bye. That's all you needed to be here for.
Incredible. I think those references just worked in naturally. I didn't really plan it. Aside from I had to address the whole thing about why didn't they just fly on the eagles to Mordor. So there's a couple references to that in there. Beyond that, I was just kind of rolling as we went through it. And my whole concept was basically, what if Frodo got to Mordor and lost the ring, on the side of a mountain, and it rolled downhill and some random orc picked it up. And hello, Ollie. Welcome, Wriggly Little Hands. Here we go.
Yes, because the whole thing is that being kind of a road trip thing, but they are couriers. Like they're transporting these goods to different places and everything. And just to give a little more context for everybody. But yeah.
Valid.
The
That
good
makes
guys,
sense.
The good guys are the bad guys. Like the
And they're so
good-
lovable.
Yeah.
The good
Yeah,
guys are the
they
bad guys. The bad guys are the good guys. The goblins are the goblins. Who can keep it
Yeah.
straight?
Yep. One thing that I noticed, so I got to see a version of the print copy of your book. Rin Stryker had a copy, and one thing that I just want to really say thank you for, and I've never seen it done before, is he listed all of us narrators in the back with like little info on who we voiced and that sort of thing, and that was just such a lovely gesture, and I really wanted to say thank you for that. That was very cool to see, because we get to see our names up on the Audible app, or it's all a very digital thing, but it was like to see that printed in a book was like, how cool. Like we're cemented as a part of the creation of this, and so thank you for including us.
You're very welcome. Thank you for making an incredible audiobook. I've kind of been on this crusade lately about crediting everybody that helps with the book. I know I've experienced in the past there are publishers or authors who don't want to say who did their cover art, because then they'll get popular and be expensive, but they're incredible artists. They need that credit. So the title page, I got a copy here. The title page, if we can see it, it's too small for y'all to see, but right in there, it's got there we go. If you do the big size.
Yeah.
Right down in there. It's probably too hard to read, and my background's messing with it. But we have the editor, the cover artist, the cover typographer, and the chapter artist, because there's little doodles in every chapter. Oh, the background doesn't like it. There's little doodles for each chapter. And honestly, I would love to find a way to get anybody that's substantially involved with the book credited further up front. So that'll be an evolving thing, because it's just I wrote the book, but I just sat at my computer and pounded away on the keyboard. Y'all are the ones that brought it to life.
Oh, well, thank you. That's it's one of the joys of getting, because we are creators, but I think of what we do as more of an interpretation. And so it is that's the joy of it, is just taking what's on a two-dimensional plane and bringing it up and into life.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's real life magic as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
thank
I
you.
absolutely love how much love and care and dedication you've put into this entire existence of Wriggly Little Hands, from the actual story itself to the physical print copy that you just brought up, the visuals, the little doodles that are in there. I love stuff like that. I've always thought that books with doodles. I had old copies of like Narnia as a kid that had the little pictures in it, and it just adds so much to have a little bit more added to it. And then of course giving us so much room for the audiobook to be able to let ourselves be creative and just have fun and do our thing. It's really awesome what you've created with Wriggly.
Well, thank you. I appreciate
Yeah.
that. It's awesome what we've created. I couldn't
So
have done
beyond-
any of this without y'all, for real.
Well, thank you. But so beyond Wriggly Little Hands, where can we find you? Where can we find you online or anything like that?
Yeah, the easiest place is author Alex Knight, KNIGHT.com. That's kind of the hub for everything. Beyond that, I'm most active on TikTok and Instagram. And
Okay, perfect.
Yep, I live stream on TikTok Live every weekday morning at 7 a.m. Central Time. So come play writing games or make fantasy maps with us if you want.
Oh, that's awesome. Very cool. We just put it down in the chat for everyone. Check out authoralexknight.com for more of his upcoming
there it is.
releases. And yeah, stay in touch with him and make sure you're catching any of the new books he's putting out.
You can tell which one's my favorite by the placement on the page.
Oh, secrets.
All right.
No, but thank you
We're
so
not
much,
recording
Alex.
this, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah, it was-
guys. You did an incredible job, and I'm starstruck meeting you. Thank you so much. You're amazing.
No, thank you.
Hey.
Thank you.
All right, we're
Too
kicking you
kind,
out, big
too
boy.
Get out of here.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Nice guy.
How
All
cool.
right, hey. Well, we got ourselves another read here. We got a lot. We this is
We're
the
going through it
most
today.
packed SBTL ever. So let's get to the next thing.
All right. And we will be reading from Death, Loot, and Vampires.
By Benjamin Kerei. You guys might have heard of this one. Originally narrated by Travis Baldry.
Yeah, so don't anybody make any comparisons, because I
No
can't stand up to that
comparisons,
shit,
please.
okay? I know I can't, okay? Okay.
But Benjamin has very kindly allowed us to read from his book, and we're going to do our best to bring it to life. And yeah, let's have some fun here. Yeah, whenever you're ready, Ryan,
Let's
it away.
take it away. The caravan had stopped at a marked campground, half a day from the city of Hellmouth. People were busy putting away everything that they had used to make dinner and preparing for the night. We were in open country, surrounded by grassland and wandering herds. With major threats a thing of the past, thanks to Luke, everyone had decided to save money and stay in the open instead of behind walls. Angelica and Davina were practicing frantically in the back of the wagon behind me, trying to improve her control before the puppy murder deadline. And I was sitting comfortably with my back against the wagon wheel, trying to deal with a rather amusing and slightly horrific problem. So, you want me to eat your little brother? I said to the 4-year-old Nathaniel, who was holding Michael, his 2-year-old brother's hand. Michael clearly had no idea of what I was, and was happily standing before me, picking his nose.
He ate my sausage.
Nathaniel said petulantly, rubbing his greasy hand through his blonde locks. I tried not to smile. Well, that's not a good reason to try to feed him to a vampire,
It was my sausage. I was saving it.
he said. He said it like he couldn't understand how I didn't deliver the death sentence immediately. He didn't know what he was asking for. I could tell.
Nathaniel, Michael, it's bedtime.
A woman called in the distance. The two turned their heads in the direction of their mother's voice. Their father, Nathaniel Sr., walked around the back of a nearby wagon and froze for a half-second when he spotted me. Then he walked over and scooped up his kids. He had worked on Angelica's armor, so we had spent some time together, and my presence didn't terrify him completely anymore. He sighed as he held his son.
I told you boys not to bother Vincent.
Michael ate my sausage.
His father gave a tired nod.
That wasn't very nice, Michael.
Michael's only response, that little giggle.
It was naughty. A naughty
boys get eaten by vampires like you said.
Their father continued to smile for a half second, and then the reality of what his son had said sank in. Horror transformed his expression.
Did you bring your little brother over here to be eaten by a vampire?
He was naughty. He ate my sausage.
Nathaniel's 4-year-old brain couldn't understand why his father seemed to be upset with him. Naughty boys were eaten by vampires after all, and they just happened to have a vampire nearby. My children had a 5-year-old gap between them, so they had never been as close as these boys. Luke didn't want to be stuck playing with his baby sister. She had still followed him everywhere, despite his protests. However, I could still see this happening to them when they were their age, which is why I found it so amusing. Parenting is tough, right? I emphasized with a fond grin, remembering happier days. He nodded, gave an exasperated sigh, and walked off, carrying his boys in his arms.
You're going to have a long talk about this with your mother.
Oh, but she gave him my sausage. It's not fair.
Wait, it wasn't your sausage.
It was mine. I claimed it.
All right, whose plate was it on?
Michael's, but I claimed it, so it's mine.
You tried to feed your brother to a vampire because he ate his own sausage?
It was my sausage.
I began to chuckle, more amused by their childish antics than anything else I had seen while traveling. The urge to eat them had never crossed my mind. Neither had I been overwhelmed by exhaustion from simply listening to them. They had offered me nothing that could help my son, yet they held my full attention. Maybe Hector was right, and I needed to open an orphanage to stay active. But the thought of making any child grow up around a cold, undead creature was repugnant. I wouldn't make myself do that, even to stay awake. Maybe I could be a babysitter or go into childcare, I thought to myself. Do they even have preschools here? Well, if they don't, I could open the first one. I'll call it Little Sucker, and the slogan could be, I promised not to drink their blood. Well, Oliver wandered over a few minutes later while I was chuckling to myself and making up absurd names and claims for my imaginary preschool.
We might have a problem.
I glanced in his direction. What, the mercenaries? They had ridden into the campground while I was talking to the boys and had made very little effort to prepare for the night ahead, despite the fading sun. Oliver nodded.
Uh-huh. Some of them are wearing cursed items.
Slavers?
Well, they don't have the wagons. I'd guess soul reapers.
Soul reapers didn't care about a body, only a person's soul. Souls were the currency of hell, and you could buy a lot with them, if you were willing to take them. Wait, this close to Hellmouth?
The hero's gone, and the countryside is safe. Patrols are less frequent than in the past. Soldiers have been sent to more dangerous territory.
Leaving this area open for a surprise attack?
Yes.
This won't be the only group, if you're right.
Which is why I came to you.
Does the guild still have the 20 gold bounty on Soul Reapers?
Last time I checked, yes.
Good. Tell Angelica that I might have found her some live test subjects to practice on.
Nasty way to go, but no worse than they deserve.
I'll go see if these mercenaries are who they think they are. Tell my familiars to join me as soon as they're ready. I pushed myself to my feet, dusted the dirt off, and made my way through the camp toward the mercenaries. There were 8 caravans staying in the campground, which amounted to close to 600 people. The mercenaries had close to a quarter of that number, which gave them a clear advantage against any resistance. Without combat skills, attributes rarely mattered. The mercenaries had parked their horses in a line. Some were feeding and watering them, while others had started cooking over enchanted flat stones. Only 3 tents had gone up so far, and it only looked like they had another 3 with them, unless they had all had storage pouches, which seemed unlikely. I ran into the first unseen before I entered their camp, and met the second the moment I did, and I didn't get much further before someone stopped me. The man was cleanly dressed and freshly shaven. His armor was well kept, and his sheath seemed to be freshly oiled, so he gave no impression that he was anything more than a respectable mercenary. He wasn't unseen, and he didn't wear any cursed items.
What do you want?
I'd like to speak with the leader of your company. Do you mind pointing me in their direction?
Sure.
He turned and pointed over his shoulder.
The big tent. You can't miss it.
I made my way over to the tent, spotting more unseen, and noticing a pattern. The unseen belonged to a group of mercenaries who had storage pouches. The unseen belonged to the group of mercenaries who had storage pouches and better equipment. This equipment wasn't well cared for, despite its value, showing obvious neglect. In total, there seemed to be 57 that fit this description, out of 160. Not all of them were unseen, but most were. The other 100 mercenaries all wore altered uniforms. Until recently, they had all had a crest stitched onto their chest. Now they all had fresh patches on their right arm. No one was standing guard outside the commander's tent when I arrived, which suggested that they weren't here to cause trouble, another thing that didn't make sense. I raised my voice slightly, seeing the runes stitched into the fabric. Could I have a moment of your time? My camp is, the one next to yours.
Come in,
came a gruff reply. I pulled aside the flap and entered the well-lit interior. A mat had been placed against one side with a rug, and bedding for two on top. A chest sat at the back of the tent, and a desk that could clearly be broken down sat to the right. A middle-aged man in a clean shirt sat behind the desk, ignoring his paperwork and looking at me.
I'm Gregory. How can I help you?
He said, offering me his hand as I walked over. I'm Vincent. My caravan isn't from around here, and I didn't recognize your company's colors, so they wanted someone to come over here and just chat to put everyone's mind at ease.
Where are you from?
Tobiel.
Border town. You're far from home.
Hence why we don't recognize anything. He chuckled.
I'd be surprised if you did. We used to be called the Crimson Dragons, but with the hero pacifying the land, contracts dried up. With everything so safe, work became hard to come by, and my company couldn't afford to continue. I sold up last week and merged my company with one owned by a noble. I got to keep my company and the best of me men under me. The rest got work under their other commanders, so I can't really complain. In the end, we didn't have to uproot our lives and move to greener pastures.
Must have been a big company. He nodded.
Oh, yes. Well, it's true. Almost a private army. 3,000 strong when they got here. Bought out a dozen companies since, so it's close to twice that now.
And they're not local?
Moved here to take advantage of the era. Wherever he goes, property values rise and people are safer. Makes for profitable trading, from what I'm told.
That's unfortunate. He frowned.
Why?
I came in here thinking you were all soul reapers, but you're just a desperate victim.
Oh, buddy, you need to lay off the drink.
I reached into my coat pocket and accessed my storage pouch. I placed my letter of neutrality in front of him. I believe you know what this is. He glanced down, and then did a double-take. He read the letter and paled.
You're a...
Concerned citizen, I said calmly. I'm just thankful you have noise-dampening spells on your tent.
Are you going to kill me?
No, I'm here to help you.
Help me?
I pointed to the letter. You have in your camp 57 individuals who are part of this other company, correct?
How did you know?
I have eyes. Half of these individuals are unseen.
Oh, that's preposterous. I witnessed their testing myself.
Testing performed by your people. I noticed you have a cleric on staff.
Well, no. My wife is a combat cleric. They brought in their own cleric. But I witnessed the tests.
Was your wife there?
It's just a formality.
And?
And she was at the training session.
As what I was saying sunk in, I continued talking. I'm traveling with several master craftsmen who specialize in undead enchantments and craftsmanship. Some of them also specialize in curses. And it was the cursed items your company were carrying around that caused them to ask me to intervene. I'm working under the assumption that these new members of your company are Soul Reapers. Would I be correct in assuming that they are the strongest members of your command? He swallowed.
They told me they wanted to make an elite fighting force.
No, they wanted to harvest as many strong souls as they possibly could.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to save you. He frowned.
I need proof. I can't just take your word for it.
He picked up the letter of neutrality and handed it back. Will one be enough? He nodded. Will your wife listen to you? He snorted. I mean in an emergency. He nodded. Tell her to make a holy attack against the individual I point out. When they fall screaming, order your men to sit down and make sure they listen. My familiars and I will take care of the rest. He swallowed.
When do you want to do this?
I stood up. Now.
But you're not dressed for battle.
I don't consider this a battle.
All right, and there we have
No applause this time. Thanks, God. It's fine. No. Awesome. Everyone woke up. Good.
Let's bring out Benjamin Kerei. Benjamin, come on out. There he is, the author
Benjamin, how's it
Death, Loot, and
going?
Vampires.
You guys, I'm going to be rude and really get more water. I've run out, which is not acceptable. I'll be back, though.
See you, Rumples.
See ya.
Benjamin.
Hello.
How you doing?
Oh, I'm very good. Thank you for having me.
It's
That was awesome.
fantastic to have you. Yeah, thank you. How I said we weren't going to compare, but I'm curious, hearing this version, hearing the
A little
audiobook
comparison
version,
can't hurt us.
a little comparison. What differences would you point out right away?
You didn't quite understand who Vincent is. He is like absolutely pure confidence. He knows he is the biggest, baddest thing around, and he goes into everything with that idea in his head. He's not afraid of anything.
Okay.
So it's there's a slight condescendingness to him, and so that would be the only thing. Otherwise, it was fantastic.
All right.
I absolutely loved her impression of the kids. That was awesome.
Yes. So that was Annie doing Nathaniel, and then we had Dory. I think my favorite part of that entire read was Dory's giggle as Michael as Michael. That was adorable.
Yeah, that's like my favorite scene in the entire book. It was my favorite scene to write, and it's a year and a half, 2 years later, still my favorite scene. I love like just human moments in books, and especially in like lit RPG. And so just be able to like take something you would see in life and just insert it into a fantasy novel is just awesome to me. And so just this idea of like two little kids like just doing what little kids do. And it's like, yeah, a 4-year-old would totally think Dad said that naughty boys like get eaten by vampires, and that's the sort of thing like parents say when they just don't want to explain something to a 4-year-old who's asked why 30 times in a night.
So tell us a little bit about the world, because I was wondering, because obviously this is a segment. It seems that in this world vampires are known to exist. They're scary, but it doesn't seem like people are reacting to Vincent as if you and I ran into Dracula in the middle of the street. Can you explain a bit about that?
So Vincent went through a hero summoning. So he was summoned as a hero. He was meant to be a hero, but the people who summoned him were vampire cultists. And so he ended up in a situation where a hero became a vampire. He is a monster through and through. He knows it. He's kind of like Dexter, if you remember that old show.
Oh, yeah.
And
okay.
yeah, so he knows he's a monster, but he was a really good person to begin with. And he does not feel our emotional range anymore. He, like, hearing screams sounds like music to him. And his impulses are all wrong. But he sort of just controls himself with pure logic. He does have some emotional connection, but it's only towards the people he loves. And he can't love new people. So the reason why people sort of tolerate his existence is because they know that he wants to protect his son, and he's gone and just recently killed basically the big bad lich of the area, and he's become a neutral party. And so the idea is, look, you don't do any crimes, we don't send the entire guild after you, we don't try to kill you. Not that we're sure we can kill you, you kind of terrify us. In their world, there are big bad things, and it's like, as long as the big bad thing isn't attacking you, it's sometimes too much trouble to deal with, so they just kind of like turn a blind eye to its existence until they can manage it.
Right. Okay. So they're letting him be there. They're letting him do his thing because they're intimidated by him, and they're not sure that they can actually like fight him in the first place. So they're hoping that it'll just be good.
They're kind of hoping that he'll do everything he claims he intends to do. It's like, okay, he's not doing harm. He's taking out bad guys. I mean, none of this is bad for us. Yes, he's getting more powerful, which is terrifying, but he was already ridiculously powerful to begin with. So the idea is that from chapter 2 of this book, he's an ancient vampire. So he's basically Dracula. Or if you remember the show, is it The Immortals? It was the follow-on from the Vampire Diaries.
Oh, no, never mind.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I know
And they're ridiculous. They're ridiculously powerful. So normally in this world, like ancient vampires have one weakness, which is holy magic. But he still has his soul. Mm-hmm. He's never killed anyone. He became an ancient vampire because he fed on the people who transformed into an ancient vampire, and kind of went to sleep for 10 years. And
Jeff, sorry. Go on.
And so he's in a very, very unique position. And the whole series, like, my favorite review of the series ever is, this is a lighthearted story where people occasionally get tortured to death.
Yes.
And it's like,
feel good.
I use the no, well, yes and no. It's got so much humor that you don't stop and actually look at the absolute horror of what's going on here. It's like that scene. The interesting thing about the scene is you got this moment that's kind of funny with these kids, and then he just goes and kills people, and there's no emotional transfer for him. There's no thinking about it. It's just like, oh, these are people I can kill. They're bad people. Cool. We just killed them, and there's not the regret. There's not the sort of like, oh, I shouldn't do this in his head. It's just like, cool, they fit in the kill category. Mm-hmm. I can let my impulses free. And so you're like, wow, that's dark, but also funny. And you kind of keep forgetting that.
Jeff made a comment I just saw here, and he said that I liked the contrast between the vampire darkness and the wholesome family, and I agree with him.
Yeah.
There's something very, and you were touching on it earlier, that there's something really captivating about this like powerful, like scariest being in the world, just having this so wholesome interaction with these two incredibly vulnerable creatures. There's a charm to that. That he could destroy them if he wanted to.
It's such a brilliant bit of writing too, because it informs so much about the character in the juxtaposition of these two scenes, and that you get more about it than you would of him machinating or in his head about what it is going on, which is I think a trap that a lot of people, a lot of authors would fall into, is just all of this rumination and like, oh, this is how I feel about everything, and readers and listeners really catch on to that fast and go, my God, move, we understand. And I think that that's such a highlight of what we just got to read there, is that that you're like really onto something there. It was
interesting because it's one of the limitations of his character. So because he is so emotionless for these things, he does not have the processing capacity to actually go through and worry about it. It's just like, oh, this is who I am, and I am 100% that. And so other people will sit there brooding about it and thinking about it and ruminating on it. He's just like, okay, this is just who I am. I need to control this, but you can only really see that control in his actions.
Mm-hmm. He just goes on with his life.
The character is informed by what he does, or you are informed about the character by what he does. Yeah, and I love that because it's well, how in what other ways did you use that challenge to, in your own estimation, improve the writing and get around that so we could see more about him?
Well, it's fascinating because part of the problem is most of the time when people see him or hear about him, it's always involving violence. So later in the book, at the very end of the book, you meet a character called Amelia. And Amelia is the daughter of the first person who took his hero's oath. And her mother was pregnant at the time her father took the oath, and then he immediately died after. And she has a bond with Vincent, and she sees everything he does. So she experiences life. And so for the first 10 years, but she sees it when she dreams at night. So for the first 10 years of her life, every night she just dreamed about a man sleeping. And
oh my gosh.
that was all her dreams. That was like the sleeping man. And then he woke up one day and he started doing all these things. And so she's seen him do horrific things. But she's also seen all the good he does. And so she's seen perspectives of him that is completely different. And there's another character that doesn't trust him. And when she meets her, she learns a few things about her. And Vincent wants her, this princess character, to take her on as a handmaiden and protector. And she's like, why would I do that? This person is clearly devoted to you. He's like, yeah, but the moment that she isn't devoted to me, you need to kill me. Because she sees everything. She judges my actions. She's seen the good and the bad. She knows me better than anyone else does. She's your warning system.
Right.
And yeah,
it's interesting. So I was kind of formulating the question of, does he ever run into, and you can answer this obviously, does he ever run into the challenge of not being able to control himself? Something happens where he's really struggling to control his impulses, or this is the second part of my question, does he stay like this sort of monolithic Dracula, impervious figure, and the character is really revealed through, his actions, like you said, but the other characters around him are kind of the stakes, no pun intended, where they're the ones who kind of he's reflecting off of them, and they're where you get your humanity. They're where you get the challenge and the struggle of trying to cope with being involved with a character who's just so magnanimous and powerful.
Book 2, chapter 1.
Okay.
It is the first time and only time in the series where he loses control. It's because of specific circumstances, but he has a very strong willpower, and he's very, very much about being able to control himself. So it's like whenever he gets very close to being going over the edge and just feeding on people, he's like, okay, I got to run. So one of the things that chapter didn't talk about is what unseen are. So unseen came from the idea I had of outlaws from the Old West. And the idea of outlaws was they were outside the law. That meant you could do anything to them and there were no legal repercussions. Unseen were people who have done so much bad that they are outside heaven's mercy. You can do anything to them and heaven will not judge you. They are immediately condemned to hell.
Okay.
Yeah. They are the worst of the worst. And they're all starting point as serial killers.
Right.
Yeah. And it's because like evil is a tangible force here. There's hell gates. There are things that infect this world that have twisted people, and these people are basically minor demons that are walking around the world. Wolf in sheep's clothing, basically, and he can see them. And so they're his food source. Yeah. Because he'll be judged the moment he kills an innocent person. But heaven's like, okay, we don't give a shit about them.
Right.
Sorry.
Go nuts.
Swearing.
Yeah. No, you're allowed to.
Swear all you like.
Cool. And so it's like he has a food source, and it's these guys. And they currently, the entire state they're in, or province, is on a hellmouth. So it's got like the highest concentration of these people in basically this entire kingdom. So he runs into them everywhere he's going.
Right. I'm sure he meets his match occasionally, and he's got to
book two. Book two.
Okay.
So, yeah. So one of the fun things about the series is he starts off as an OP main character. It's not like he builds up to it. He gets strong and like gets some skills. It's like, no. Chapter 2, he's an ancient vampire. He's practically indestructible. You could throw him in a volcano, he will walk out. And because of this, I have to structure fights differently. So the random bandits that your character meets on the road of chapter 10, for him is like, oh, cool, this is an anti-saint. This thing opened a hell mouth. It is a demon walking around the world. This is the random road bandits, and then you've got oh cool, we need like the slightly bigger boss bandit middle. You're going to go defeat the lich that has been plaguing this state for literally and so what's interesting is he's basically fighting big bads every third of a book.
Right.
And it's this really, really weird writing technique I get to do where it's things that would normally be entire book arcs and just be this huge rigmarole. I'm like, cool, and that was done in 5 chapters.
That's crazy. I love getting to hear you talk about the way that you write and everything, because it's just they're as you're constructing it for us, and it's just so delicately imbalanced, or there's a lot that could go wrong. There's a lot of things that you've baked in here that well, I love inverting tropes. So my first series, Unorthodox Farming, it is an inversion of all the fantasy tropes. So this main fantasy trope is you start with a farm boy and he goes off on an adventure. The wise old wizard comes in season. So I started off with a gamer, I made him a farmer, and then I locked him on his farm. And so instead of him being able to go off to adventure, he had to literally bring the adventure to the farm. And so he learns he can get experience by luring monsters to his farm. And then you end up with adult Home Alone with hobo murdering monsters and swinging axes in the barn. But it's he's not the smartest guy around. He knows that there's people that know more. So he goes off and gets a wise old wizard to come back to his farm so he can have his guide. Yeah, he needs him to be on the farm though. That's great.
Yeah. So so it's everything about that first book is an inversion of all a standard fantasy novels is, including the idea that he lures the Dark Lord or the major monster, the dragon type thing, giant in this case, to his farm and has to deal with this in a farm-like structure.
Yeah. Right. If you can't go to Mordor, bring Mordor to your farm.
Yeah.
Well, that's the fun. That's the fun of it, and the charm, being able to, as a listener, I imagine I would be guessing. I'd be thinking and trying to plan it out ahead of time. I'm starting to see.
How's he going to do this? How's he?
Exactly.
Yep. And I absolutely love doing that.
And like I said, I just love hearing the way that you set these obstacles for yourself and try to defy things and what a unique creative way to go about it, and that's so exciting. I have a question. Besides the cover for book 2 of the Vampire series, is there any crossover besides the fact that he's holding he's holding book 1 of Unorthodox Farming, isn't he? Yeah. So is there
is there any crossover? Well, they do come from the same world, so they're both
okay,
isekai from the same version of Earth. It's not our Earth, so yes, there is some crossover.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know if people that maybe have listened to one series and not the other, or read one series and not the other, if they could expect any Easter eggs.
Yeah. They won't meet in Vincent's world.
Okay.
If it ever occurs. Yeah.
All right.
Yep,
Oh,
there
we
it
go.
is. Yeah, it is right there.
There
Exactly.
it is.
That was
great.
Luciano.
I was reincarnated as a farmer. Yeah.
Yeah, that was Luciano Felites' work. I described everything I wanted on this cover, and I just described it as I want him reading a book. I just everything else was
So he
my
decided
doing.
to do that?
Yeah, and he did it and sent it to me. I was like, oh my god, that is fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Bold move that he did this.
Oh, yeah.
And it paid off. That's awesome.
Oh, it was so good. People absolutely love that. I loved it. Everyone I've shown it has loved it. It's like, that is so great.
Well, I absolutely had a blast reading this segment from Loot and Vampires. Oh my goodness, the Death Loot and Vampires.
Yep, there you go.
And Benjamin, where can people find you, and what are you working on now?
They can find me on Facebook. I've got a Facebook fan page, so look for me there. I've got a Twitter, Benjamin Kerei. You'll find me. And I've got a Patreon. You will occasionally find me. I do not post regularly. I go off in tangents, which I'm currently doing. I'm supposed to be writing book 3 of Unorthodox Farming, but I have gone off in a tangent. And in the last 2 weeks, I've written 90,000 words of a new story.
Oh, amazing. And if you are allowed yet to share, or you want to share, can you give us the elevator pitch on that one?
Okay. Elevator pitch is going to be hard. Okay. Dante's Inferno, basically, but LitRPG version. So I had a really funny idea, which was I've read a lot of it LitRPG, and I love the idea of these like mobs spawning. And I thought about it, and I was like, what if we're the mobs in hell? So it's like lower reality beings die, their spirit moves up to our world, and like some worlds have a system, and so they respawn, and like they're killed, and then they respawn somewhere else. And this is their like version of like life after death. It's like, so we die, and we go to a higher realm, and that just happens to be hell. And so we're the mobs in hell. And so I've got this like story of like a guy dies, gets told by a demon, yeah, you're going to hell, but you lived a really good life, so you have some starting bonuses. And he's like, 98% of, well, not 98, like 85%, 98% of Earthlings have a starting bonus because you have a really, really like well-developed world. And so it's a sort of like fun story. Well, yes, fun story of this guy goes to hell and just like gets his rude awakening and realizes I have to build up like a kingdom to protect myself.
That is awesome. That sounds.
And
so
people
exciting.
can find that on your Patreon. That's where it's being posted irregularly.
We'll see. It's currently in rough draft form. We'll give it like a few weeks, and then if that improves, it'll be on there. I kind of will have to because I've not posted on anything on there in months except for like one chapter of Unorthodox Farming.
You just have starving fans sitting there with their bowls, just like, please,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
I'm messing with you.
No. I got like 3 days of roasting at JordanCon because I made the mistake of letting Neil Halliger introduce me as a writer best well known for, instead of writing book 3 of a series, starting a new one. And then everyone realized I had 3 series and only 2 books in each of them. And I like every LitRPG author was like, okay, this is time to start making jokes about this. And like
so you just the onslaught.
Yeah. Katie Hanna was the absolute best at this. Absolutely hilarious Australian woman. Yeah. And she's in the middle of a panel. She's on the panel. And she's like, so in my book 4, and then she pauses, turns to me at the back of the room, and goes, for those who don't know what a book 4 is, it comes after book 3. Turns back to the audience, and then carries on doing what she was doing.
If you know KT, it's like you don't expect such incredible sass from such a sweet,
Oh yeah,
She's so lovely.
She's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
kindest, warmest person. And all of a sudden she can, and you're like, ah.
yeah. It was so good. Like she did got me again, like just perfectly though. I was leaving one panel and she stopped me and she's like, are you going to come to the next panel? I was like, I wasn't planning to. She's like, I think you'll really enjoy it. I was like, really? She's like, yeah, I think it'll help you. I was like, oh, okay. What's it about? And she's like, finishing a series.
Just get roasted.
Savage.
I mean, come on.
Savage. Well,
Yeah.
Benjamin, it's been an absolute pleasure getting to talk to you and hanging with you. For those of you who heard or didn't hear, Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and you're going to be at LitRPG Con.
I am looking forward to it. It looks absolutely amazing. Yeah.
Looking forward to seeing you there, Ben. Thank you, Benjamin.
Sweet.
Yes,
thank you
so
for
much,
having me.
Ben.
See you, everyone.
Bye.
Oh, sorry, Jeff. We missed your question.
What are we sorrying Jeff for?
Jeff had a question about...
Don't worry about driving, you turd.
Would you ever do a Frankenstein lit RPG, Benjamin?
Here, we'll come back.
We'll never know.
We will now. Look at that.
Oh,
Good thing he wasn't standing up.
Definitely
right?
would.
you would.
Yeah. Yeah, I would. It'd be really, really cool to see someone like literally building like a monster
I was gonna
potentially.
say,
Yeah.
There's like upgrading your parts is getting a new arm. You're like, nice, I've got a
Yeah.
rhino arm now. Like,
Yeah.
Well, I can see you doing like a real steel type book with like with that. So it's like, oh, we have like cage matches, and it's like you're just building your person or your monster to fight each other, and
Right.
that could be pretty epic.
Custom parts, switch them
Yeah.
around, defeat different people, be able to take their parts.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, otherwise you're looking at just straight up necromancy, and then I've got that in the second book of Vampire Vincent, where it's like just cutting things up and like making sort of Frankensteinian type things. Yeah.
Okay, so you get a bit of that. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Benjamin.
yeah, thanks for coming
There
back.
you go, Jeff.
Yeah, when Daddy
All right.
Jeff asks for
Guys.
something, we deliver.
Yes,
That's
we,
right,
we don't
that's
want to
right.
disappoint Jeff.
Don't want to disappoint Daddy.
His check signing hand might get weaker, and I
Daddy.
don't want that.
I'm sorry.
Hey.
All right, moving on to this is from a book called The Cloudfarers.
Do we have an author
by-
here?
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Excellent.
Oh, my
Would you like to
goodness.
speak with? Oh, well, hello.
Hello,
Hi.
HC Mails. Yes, I'm looking at this
HC Mails.
scene. I was curious. I can tell that I think the characters in this are English. It's got some milords and stuff like that in it. Is that correct, or is it, or do you prefer a straight?
I gotta be
I can do
honest.
straight.
I've never really considered it. I think straight.
Just
Like
Yeah.
American accent.
regular American accent.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what they
Great,
sound
and-
like in my head. So
Oh,
Okay.
cool.
Are
Awesome.
you able to give us a brief, just intro? What are we?
Yes.
What's
Where are we
what's
coming
happening
from?
in
What
the
are we
scene?
going
Where are we
toward?
coming
Yeah.
from? Exactly. Thank you.
sure. So Rylan is the main character. He is an indentured servant living on an island on an estate of the Thistlethorns. That is a noble family who found him on their doorstep as a baby. And they live on this island inside a massive sea of clouds. One of a few islands in this sea of clouds that you can walk through, basically. But there are also creatures swimming through the fog who might take a bite of you if you try to do that. So he's pretty stuck on that island. And they're having him work to get to pay off his debt, basically, to them for raising him, for housing and sheltering him, feeding and clothing him all these years. Well, he's not very fond of how long it's taking. So he wants to try to become a Quinthar, which is the kind of the magical knight of this setting. So he wants to unlock his first skill. It's a lit RPG. And he's grown disillusioned at his failed attempts, and so he's decided to try to break into their library to see if they're hiding secrets about it. Because the noble family, they're all Quinthar, basically. So he thinks they've got to know something. So at the start of this chapter, he's in that library, and then the door opens.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
So,
Awesome.
Justin, I would like for you to read for Rylan.
Rylan, okay.
Yes, and Ryan, I'd like you to read Soren.
Awesome.
who
Do we have
comes in
any?
a bit later. And yes, Soren is a Quinthar. He is one of the higher born. He is a higher born noble of this family.
Yes.
That Rylan is an indentured servant to. But they also were best friends for a long time. And last year, they were recently. There's been a big betrayal.
Okay.
Soren has betrayed Rylan, and so they.
If you
I
were
guess
to
that's
give
all I
me
need to say
HC, if you were to give me 3 words that describe Soren.
Okay, so he's got a bit of flair.
Easy, baby.
Yeah, he's well spoken. Yeah, those are the most things. He can get pretty nerdy and excited about things.
Okay, awesome.
About
That's
knowledge.
stuff to work with. That's great. Any other characters you need cast, Annie, or are we good to go?
No, there are a couple little female characters that I can cover here.
All right.
Okay,
No,
awesome.
before you
I'm
guys
gonna.
continue,
Oh,
I actually need
sorry.
to
I thought you were already gone.
No, I was actually
Oh, it's just Dory. Oh, Dory.
I was about to say this disembodied ghost actually must pop off for
You
the
have to
night.
float
I
away.
apologize.
Disapparate.
I must-
Okay, well, I'm so glad to hear your
Float
voice again.
away.
That was like a bonus for me because I thought you'd already popped off.
Pop off, girl. Okay.
Pop up.
The connection
care,
with the
Dory.
spirits has
Dory.
weakened. But
Yes.
I love you guys too.
I hear you
Thank so
fading.
much.
Love you.
Thank you so much for
Ciao.
having me tonight.
Thank
Alright, bye,
you.
babe.
Bye. Have a good night.
All right,
All
and these
right.
are kids. These are
I'm
like teenagers, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're 16,
Rylan's
17.
a teenager too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right,
Okay,
all
awesome.
three of them.
Okay.
I'm
Here
gonna
we
bump
go.
HC back down into the little green room. Ready? 1, 2,
Okay.
3.
All right, and I'm going to go ahead. Unfortunately, we are coming close to the end here
Okay.
for timing, and I want to be able to talk to HC afterwards for a bit. So
Okay.
I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes, and we're going to
Okay.
get as far as we can
I love it.
during that time. All right,
Great.
and here we go.
Chapter 4, Busted. Rylan's heart practically jumped out of his chest as the lock clicked open. In stunned disbelief, he watched the handle go down. A soft gasp from the other side of the library caused him to lock eyes with Zara before she quickly ducked behind a shelf. The only upside to his position right next to the door was that it opened towards him, providing him a crucial moment's reprieve. As the door swung open... Excuse me, I'm adjusting my script. As the door swung open, he crouched down as quickly and quietly as he could, then ducked under the desk. Only when he spotted the neat black loafers of the last person he'd hoped to see here, illuminated by the warm glow coming off the top of his hiding place, did he realize his mistake. He'd left the oil lamp on. "Hello?" Miss Amberleaf asked after a moment, her stern voice tinged with confusion. "Who's in here?" When no answer was forthcoming, she started moving towards the back of the room, towards Zara. Rylan's mind steamed at full force. Miss Amberleaf hadn't fully closed the door, so if he timed it right, he could probably slip out unnoticed. But Zara couldn't. And even if her punishment would probably be milder than his, what with her father being head chef and all, her being punished at all for his gull-brained scheme was unacceptable. Before he could even fully consider the ramifications, Rylan crawled out from under the desk, stood up, and loudly yawned, stretching his back. Miss Amberleaf spun on her heel, her squinty eyes immediately honing in on him. Her pinched lips, that made her look like she was permanently sucking on a particularly uncooperative piece of hard, sour candy, drew even tighter.
Mr. Cloudgift, what in the name of the Great Spirits are you doing here?
Miss Amberleaf?
Rylan asked, covering his yawn with a hand he groggily blinked at her, as he groggily blinked at her.
What time is it?
It's almost 5th bell, she replied curtly as she walked over, her steps muted by the carpeted floor, until she stood in front of him with her arms folded over her black uniform. Now explain yourself! The days Miss Amberleaf towered over him were long gone, and Rylan could now easily see the top of her gray bun, which looked painfully tight, as always. However, despite the height difference having swung his way, he couldn't help but feel a little kid standing in front of her. Rylan scratched the back of his head, pretending to still be disoriented with sleep. He'd always been good at thinking on his feet, but Miss Amberleaf knew him. His story would have to be fog-proof.
Well, I was sent to fetch a book.
He hesitantly started.
But, while I was looking for it, someone locked the door. I was in the back, and I didn't notice until after I'd found the tome, and I guess I ended up falling asleep waiting for it to be opened again.
Miss Amberleaf narrowed her eyes at him, the wrinkles around them growing deeper as a result.
What book were you sent to fetch?
A slight creak came from the direction of the door to the balcony, causing Miss Amberleaf to glance over her shoulder.
Oh, yes, this one,
Rylan said, reaching back to hurriedly close and pick up the open tome before practically shoving it in her face for her to inspect.
Did you say it was 5th bell already? Oh, fog. Oh, that means I've slept for over an hour.
Language, she snapped.
Right. Sorry, ma'am.
He replied, acting properly chastened. Personally, he'd always felt it silly that she considered the use of the word fog as an exclamation to be swearing.
Yeah.
Anyway, I should really...
I should really go deliver this. I'm already...
To whom?
She asked, holding up a hand to stop him as he tried to shuffle past her towards the door.
Sorry?
He asked, even as he mentally went down the list of people who could have possibly asked him to do such a thing. It was not a particularly long list, and none of the people on it sounded all too believable to him. Miss Amberleaf seemed to be coming to the same conclusion.
Who sent you to fetch a book from the private library? And how did you get in, for that matter? That door is normally kept locked.
It was open when I got here.
He stammered, feeling his face grow flush as his lies started falling apart. Perhaps he could still avoid the worst punishment if she believed he was just a curious fool, rather than a tower-scaling, lock-picking burglar. And at least Zara had gotten away. Probably. Miss Amberleaf huffed, taking a menacing step closer to Rylan, and repeatedly poking a sharp-nailed, bony finger into his sternum to emphasize the ends of her sentences.
I get the feeling, Mr. Cloudgift, that you are not being entirely truthful with me. If you have something to confess, I suggest you do it now, for with every lie, you are but deepening the pit of deception that will ultimately bury you.
Rylan tried his utmost not to react to her stale breath washing over his face.
Look,
Suddenly, the door they were standing by burst open.
Rylan, what is taking so long?
A voice demanded. It swung shut again, revealing the second-to-last person Rylan had wanted to see there. Soren Thistlethorn. The young master kept the distinctive silvery blue hair of his family short-cropped and slicked back, his amber eyes gazing down coolly from the sharp cheekbones they perched on.
With his perfectly straight back, he somehow looked taller than Rylan, despite being about an inch shorter. A swell of bitterness. Oops. My screen went dark. A swell of bitterness welled up in Rylan's throat, but he swallowed it back down. "Milord," Miss Amberleaf exclaimed, a hand brought up to her chest. Then she seemed to remember herself and performed a curtsy.
Oh, my apologies for startling you, Miss Amberleaf.
Soren said, idly brushing a hand down his crimson doublet, as if to smooth some non-existent creases before stepping forward to face Rylan. The rapier on his right hip swung from the abrupt motion, unfortunately stopping just shy of Miss Amberleaf's shin.
There you are. I see you've managed to find it at least.
Soren continued, holding out his hand with an air of exasperation.
Well, go on. Hand it over.
Rylan numbly held out the book. Soren impatiently grabbed it, then used it to bop the top of Rylan's head.
Ah! Why is it the one I sent? Oh, sorry.
Why is it that when I send you to fetch a book, I end up having to come get it myself?
Ah! My apologies. I got locked in here.
Rylan replied woodenly. Miss Amberleaf cleared her throat exaggeratedly, glaring daggers at Rylan from the side.
Milord.
Rylan added reluctantly. Soren sighed, somehow managing to express a lifetime of disappointment with the sound, before turning back to his family's head of housekeeping.
Do you need Rylan for anything, Miss Amberleaf?
"Oh, no, that's quite all right, young master," she stammered, seeming flustered by the sudden interruption. "I was just... No matter. I'll take my leave, with your permission." He gave her a prim nod, upon which she curtsied again, and after a brief moment of hesitation, left the room. The second door clicked shut. Soren blew out a breath of relief, his posture slumping a little. But only a little. It wouldn't do for a proud Thistlethorn scion to actually relax for a moment, after all. Rylan
There we go. There's my alarm.
Okay.
I ended up doubling it just because 5 minutes we wouldn't have heard Ryan.
Yeah.
I wanted to hear Ryan.
Well, I got a lot in the last one, so that's okay. They've heard me, baby. They've heard me.
I think you might have.
They know what they're
choice
getting
to double
into.
it.
Yeah, but I approve too. That was lovely. Good job, Annie.
That was very nice.
You too, as always.
HC.
Now, forgive
so-
my ignorance here, HC. Does this have an audio format at this point, or is this on Royal Road?
It's on Royal Road.
Awesome. Very cool. So this is the first time you've heard...
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
you're
very
the
cool.
first ones to try to bring it to life like this, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And so what do you envision, from our performance to what you envision, what worked, what do you think you would change? What do you envision?
Well, I don't think you're the right voice for Rylan, but that's mostly with the depth of it. Yeah,
do you
they're
mean?
supposed to be teenagers.
I'm a
It's a bit,
teenager, all right?
yeah, of course. Yeah. What do you mean I sound too low? Yeah. No, it's. I love this version of Soren at very least. I think he's probably a bit less condescending. He is condescending.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably a bit less. It's more like he just expects people to listen to him and obey what he says.
It's his birthright, right? I mean,
Exactly. This literally is. And he's probably playing it up a little for Miss Amberleaf's sake in this scene. With
Right, trying to get his
when he's talking to Rylan one-on-one, it's a bit less. But yeah. I also really like Miss
happening in
Amberleaf.
this?
Yeah, that's Rylan.
The cover art here.
Very cool.
What's going on?
This
Yeah.
is a cool
he's
world.
fighting a shark.
I love this image
That's
of
awesome.
being
Yeah.
in the clouds, living in cities. In the
Oh, it's a
clouds.
cloud shark, right?
Yeah, that's a cloud shark. It's a very big one. Most of them are a bit smaller, but yeah, he's. This is later in the book, obviously, when he he ends up after this part. He ends up becoming a Quinthar, and he thinks that's going to solve all of his problems. He thinks now I'm gonna pay off this debt in no time. I'm a Queenthar now, but then the Thistlethorns basically say, well, we want to put you under a magical contract that will bind you to us for the foreseeable future anyway. So he decides to run. And there's only one place to run, and that's down into the Cloud Sea. So he ends up getting lost in there. Some people run along who chase him end up lost with him. So he has to, among Soren, among others. So he has to kind of navigate that tension of his old friendship and the things that happened between them, while also trying to survive and explore the Cloud Sea. And then he ends up stumbling upon some other things, exploring some other things down there. And he ends up having to escape a giant shark at the very least.
Okay.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, it might be awkward to self-aggrandize or anything, but what within your writing, what is either a plot point, character development, something? What do you think shines the most for you in this book, and that you think the readers will really connect with? Or maybe it's a scene, maybe it's I don't.
Okay, so there's I think my favorite character gets introduced partway through the story, which is a sentient dagger, a sentient throwing knife, and I mean it's at some point it's been done to death in LitRPG to have sentient objects and creatures and stuff, but I do really like the way he turned out because he's very it's like a very enthusiastic little boy who doesn't really understand the world. He's just like, oh, that is awesome, and about all kinds of stuff. And at first he's like being introduced to the world, and he's like, ooh, boss, what's that? That is also a rock.
Yeah, that's the character I want to audition for.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, coming from the audio perspective, I'm already envisioning if we were to do an audio production of it, him just excitedly, you hear him going from one side of your headset to the other,
it's like ding, ding, ding.
because he's got thrown to kill someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I really like him, and in general, well, when it comes to my writing, I feel like I shine in action scenes, at least. I also I think my dialogue is pretty good. I tend to, I could try not to write funny stories, but I always end up putting in jokes because I can't help myself. So even if I try, it's just gonna happen. I've stopped trying to fight it.
Yeah.
In my last book, my last series, all of the chapter titles were like puns and references to things and stuff. I decided not to do it for this one because this one is not an isekai. It's a self-contained fantasy world. So
sure, yeah.
I don't want to. Yeah, it would feel weird to have references to Earth in the chapter titles there.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Right.
But yeah,
well,
that's
HC.
I was going to say, where can we find more of your writing and the different things?
Well, like any LitRPG author, my books are on Amazon because that's where the readers are. I tried to go wide at the start, and I think I sold 10 books, ebooks on the first month or something in other, and I've sold 1,000 on Amazon. Right. So
it's like you might as well get the Amazon exclusive.
Might as well get the Kindle Unlimited because it was pointless not to. Yeah, that's my first series. It's 6 books. That one's finished. I do finish my series.
Take that, Ben.
Yeah. Only the audiobook, the last audiobook is still coming out.
Oh, very cool. Who do you have for your narrators?
I have, well, for the first series, I went independent as I do most things, and I hired a narrator personally. Her name's Erica Mighty. She did a great job. She's doing a great job of narrating the books. Yeah, it's very funny. Right. She lived in America when I hired her, but she moved to the Netherlands later that year because her
That's
husband
crazy.
found work here. Yeah,
That's
it was
so cool.
ridiculous.
Have you
and
gotten
it's
to meet
really
up with
fun.
her?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I've
so
been
cool.
to I've been to improv shows of her. She's come to see my
nice.
girlfriend performing in theater as well. So
That is so cool. I think some of the most
yeah, really
special relationships
fantastic.
I've gotten are with authors that I've worked with before. So that's so cool. You got to experience that with her. But yeah, everyone that's watching at home, make sure you go check him out on Amazon, Audible, and for newer projects on Royal Road.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us on our Royal Road trip, HC
Yes.
Mills.
Thank you for trying on my work.
Yeah, thank you. And now next up on our Royal Road trip, we have
a stop over in the RE Druin land. Let's pick up our next hitchhiker.
Bring him out! Bring him out! Hey,
It's
how we
Red.
doing?
Hello. Not the best camera. Sorry.
That's okay. It's giving
It's all
like
good.
we might see you murdered live on stream, and we'll have to like solve the murder later or something.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, it could
we're
be
here.
fun for us. It'd be horrible for you.
Yes, it'd be quite horrible.
We are moving to that's a cool cover. Let's see that cover up close. Biracial edgelord can't make immortal, power of 10, book 7. You've got 6 of these already out.
I need to know
I've got
where
I've got-
biracial edgelord came from immediately.
Yeah,
That's my
tell
first
us.
and only
Let's
question.
unpack his title.
Okay. Mother is a shadow elf. Okay. This is. Are you familiar with original D&D?
Yes, the red box.
Yes, red box set. Okay. The shadow elves are the drow of the original D&D world. However, they are pale. They are not black-skinned.
Okay.
Okay, and her father is a Dampier.
Okay.
So
Dampier is
biracial.
related, or?
Got
Yes,
it.
Dampier would be.
It was more the edgelord part that I was really honing in on. I get the biracial, but
Okay, edgelord because her name is Egina, shortened to Edge, and she just went, okay, I look like this. I'm going to look like this. I'm just gonna lean into it. And so when I started this, I was like, okay, yeah, her father's Dampier of the province of Barovia in Glantry. Let's okay, so we got a Transylvanian accent, and then look at her appearance. If you look at the cover, she looks like an edgelord, and I'm basically saying, okay, she's gonna act kind of like Wednesday from the Addams Family.
okay.
Oh, Annie,
Annie, are you ready for this?
are you down to narrate this? I totally thought we had a male,
quick question.
narrate?
Is it a first person?
First
Yes.
person.
Yeah, it is.
This
It is. So
Female narrator, right?
Yeah.
female narrator.
Annie. Annie.
Oh, you guys. Okay, but Transylvania, you guys are gonna have to be
Hey, this
kind
is
to
the
me.
this is the
You're
goal.
gonna have
And
some fun.
Starts
You're
at
gonna have
I am the Lady Edge.
Freaking, this is
Yes.
a very cold. I have never read these words in my life, and I have never practiced
That's
a
okay.
Transylvanian accent in my life. So you guys are just gonna have to be kind to me.
This is
All
the
right.
troll. This is the
This
troll.
is fine.
Is this
So
a
we
troll?
are actually we're going to chapter 24, right?
Yes.
24.
24, about halfway down.
I'm in 25. Okay, gotta get to 24.
Yes.
I can put one in the
my
comments.
chapter divisions, I write about 2,000 words a chapter. So where the story picks up is where it picks off. I don't do cliffs all that often because they just don't work out all the time.
Do you want the anybody need the link?
I just sent it in private chat, Annie. If you need to find it, it's in.
It's right there in the private chat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I sent it a little bit earlier.
So it's the I am the Lady Edge.
That's where it starts.
After the break.
Yeah, she's
And we'll
talking.
be able to
She's
make it
talking
to
in
the
mage
end.
voice, so she can be heard up to 3 miles away.
Okay, this is a spell.
And it is a first-person narration.
Yes.
Okay,
Excellent.
Okay.
Is there in this section in chapter 24? Who else are we encountering? And do you have any quick
Yeah.
notes
Two dwarf.
on there?
Standard
No.
dwarves.
Dwarves. Okay,
If you want to use a German accent, all my dwarves are German
Oh.
accents.
that's great.
Can I do Austrian?
Yeah.
Do an
Yes.
Austrian accent. I
Yes.
want to.
I get tired of Scottish dwarves, so
Yeah,
I'm
me
like,
too.
all my
Same.
dwarves are German.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Here we go.
Yeah. Right, we'll alternate the dwarves.
What the are we
Sorry,
going?
Annie. Sorry. Let's alternate the dwarves. You start,
Yeah.
and then
When
I'll
there's a
take
guy,
the
when a
next
guy
one.
talks, it'll start with you, and then I'll take the next one. Right?
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good.
Yep.
I am Lady Edge. I seek an elder of the Rockborn to take charge of returning 4 fallen sons of the mountains to their clans. Who will come forth? A lot of helmed heads with beards bristling forth underneath them poked out over the tops of grim stone walls, and the sentries sitting there at the gates jumped to their feet in shock. I was standing right in front of the doors 30 feet away, and they hadn't seen me approach or acknowledged me.
An elf girl!
The nearest plate-armored sentry exclaimed in shock, as I was bright red and black splash of color that should have been visible for miles.
Where did you come from?
He demanded awkwardly, leaving off fumbling for his shield to gape at me. I turned around slowly to look at the road winding through the foothills behind me, along the glimmering shores of Lake Stahl, turned slowly back, and arched an eyebrow as the dwarven guards tromped up to me. They were about the same height as me, and outweighed me probably 4-1 in their armor. That said, they stopped well outside my reach, at just the tiniest movement of my chin, and any attempt to intimidate me was cut short.
Well, we didn't see you until just now.
The brown-bearded young of the two spluttered defensively.
Stand. Stand and identify yourself and your purpose here, elf.
I blinked slowly at him. I am Lady Edge. I seek an elder of the Rockborn to take charge of returning 4 fallen sons of the mountains to their clans. Who will come forth? He flushed under his helm as I repeated my words, feeling even more like a fool than before. There was already an officer coming through the gates, his beard a dark slate gray, looking both grim and confused. The sentries stood there, having to attend and clapping axes to breastplates as the officer came up. Heaving to attention and clapping axes to breastplates as the officer came up. He was a bit taller than me, and no doubt found it satisfying to look down at me. He deliberately looked back and forth around me.
Young Lady Edge.
He definitely sounded curt and skeptical of the title.
What is this about fallen sons of the mountain, then?
I returned his skepticism in equal measure. I was told to wait for a dwarf cleric to remand the remains to. You are not a cleric, elder. I emphasized the last to remind him that he had not introduced himself.
I am not. I am Rogi Hrungvald's son of the clan of Wilhelm, and I am a captain here at Fort Greyston.
He stated, with the grim authority of someone with a job they didn't really like.
And I'll not be risking a priest of my people with a strange black-eyed elf girl without very good reason, little miss.
He stated certainly. I see. The return of sons and the mountain to the families is not sufficient reason, I asked archly. And the whole fort could hear clearly, meaning I was drawing a crowd out here to see this.
He made a show of looking around.
I see no remains, young elf,
he stated pointedly. I will show one, because I dislike wasting my spells. The 4-item scrolls with the caskets peeled out of my sleeves, making him back up and thin his lips in distaste as they hovered before him. Pick one, Captain Hrogi, son of Grunwald. He eyed me uncertainly, but rather curtly pointed at the second one.
That one.
The other 3 zipped back into my sleeve, while I waved up a flat disc for the casket to land on, and then calmly tore it apart as the unamused dwarves watched. The scrolls evaporated, and the stone casket materialized and fell down upon the disc floating there, making all of them blink. I lowered it down so that he could read the top of it without having to jump or something. Still suspicious, the captain nevertheless refused to show any unease as he stepped up to the edge of the casket and bent over. Seeing the words written in elegant Dentec, in the very elven style, made him blink, for it looked more artistic and flowing than the normally blocked script of his people. Nevertheless, it was clearly legible, and he read it out loud.
The remains of Orgmul, son of Goimlu of Clan Brukal, found in the hoard of the red dragon Conflagrus, the unequaled, to be returned to home and hearth in Rookheim.
His eyes dropped to the note at the end.
It wasn't the dragon picking me up and flying me into the sky what killed me, lads. It was the sudden stop there at the end.
I swear every dwarf there straightened instantly at those words.
Gromlu Bregerson runs trade through Castle Carrick and the desert humans to the south, and he's of Bruckle.
A voice called out from the watching dwarves above. The dwarf captain gave me an odd eye, but carefully lifted the cover of the casket open, pausing a moment to inspect the workmanship before the hinges creaked open and showed the contents. It was obviously a dwarven skeleton, but broken in several places, and its armor mangled by powerful claws ripping great gouges into metal. Still, it was all there, even the beard still intact. The captain slowly closed the lid, giving me a wary eye as he did so, but more consideration in it.
How did you know his name, girl?
I asked his spirit, of course. How else was I to learn it, elder? I replied calmly. There was another flash of distaste in his eyes, vanishing as he caressed the smooth stone and looked upon the word again.
Well, you've indeed brought Bruckle back to his kin, and we'll see him home. Revered Corgil, if you would join us down here,
he called out loudly.
Coming!
A rather younger voice answered immediately. I waited patiently for short legs to work the stairs and doors. Soon enough, a rather younger dwarf with a startlingly black beard and bright orange eyes hustled through the gate to join us, a holy symbol of a mountain beneath a pick, axe, and hammer slung about his neck. He examined me most curiously as I waited patiently for him.
I am Corgil of Clangir. You have brought back one of our own, Lady H. You said you've 3 others?
I bowed slightly to the priest. Yes. I flicked out the scrolls again, but there was no disc this time. Instead, They were spread upon the ground and torn apart there, promptly disgorging 3 more smooth stone caskets upon them. Both captain and cleric leaned forward to read the scripts there.
Rugal, Dorn, son of Clan Goodspiel.
His voice caught the moment as his eyes widened.
Remains found in the hoard of a red dragon, Conflagrus the Unequaled.
His hand fell to the words below.
I go in honor of our father Klangir.
Somberly, he opened up the lid and looked upon the corpse and the mangled armor encasing the dead dwarf priest within.
This is he. I recognize my brother's armor.
Revered Korgel breathed quietly. A rather large number of dwarves had made their way much closer, and a deep hum arose from all of them at this news.
Kram Ostervam.
He began.
I knew him. He's a Dwoxen.
A dwarf in the crowd spoke up, shouldering his way forward.
Aye, and so it reads, of Clan Dwoxen remains found in the hoard of the red dragon Conflagrus the Unequaled. I trust not this elven witch to deliver me home. Bum bum bum.
Scene.
Lovely.
Very cool, very cool.
I was gonna say, for having not practiced that, girl, you sounded good.
Yeah,
very well done. Very well done. Excellent.
Yeah,
I was very impressed.
And from a totally cold read too, we didn't. That was just flying on the seat of the pants, you know. Well, very cool. So this is this is book 7 in the series that we just read from. Is that correct?
Correct. There are 7 on Royal Road. The predecessor 6 ones are on Amazon.
Nice.
Oh, very cool. So this one will be releasing on Amazon.
No. The Royal Road series stand alone. They are not on Amazon.
Oh,
the
very
other
good.
6 volumes occur approximately 10 years before all of the ones on Royal Road start. So they are a completely different series.
Cool. Okay.
They are basically
in the same world, though. Yeah.
Same metaverse.
Okay.
I wouldn't call it I wouldn't call it world.
Sure.
So we're not. So in the other series, we're not following the same main character. Am I right?
Correct. The very first book on Royal Road follows Samarantha. The second book on Royal Road basically follows her daughter. The third book starts a new series of protagonists. There we go. Power of 10.
Oh, right on.
There we
It's
go.
the original Power of 10 series.
Nice.
Now, the main character of the Power of 10 series on Amazon is Elrianth. At the time of the Royal Road series, 10 years have passed. Mm-hmm. The six stories on Royal Road basically only go up through the end of the first month.
Oh, wow. That's impressively dense.
That's impressively dense, yes.
Yes.
But the reason I wrote the ones on one of your previous authors said he had wrote 90,000 words in 2 weeks on a new novel, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. I had one of those when I wrote The First Day. Because basically every author that I've ever run into, when they start talking about the apocalypse comes or magic comes, it's always in the past. It happened in the past. And they don't really talk about how apocalyptic it is when it comes there. And if they do, it's because the character is a total asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's out for himself. I'm going to survive. Just me, maybe a few of mine, and then everybody else can go hang. And I was reading a lot of Chinese novels, web novels at the time, and that was just the continuous theme. Oh, I'm not going to care about anybody but me and mine. I'm going to shaft everybody I can, do whatever I have to do to power myself up. I don't care about anybody else. If they die, so be it. And I was like, no, that's not how I think people would really work in such a situation. And so that's where the power of 10 came from. I mean, if magic came, you suddenly had the power, would you just all be out for yourself, or would you really try and save as many as you can? Would you try and be the good guy, or would you try and be the asshole?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Or the coward somewhere in between, yeah.
But the other thing is, I leaned very heavy into one of the most controversial elements of Dungeons & Dragons, which is alignments.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay. If you could sense alignments, see alignments, do you imagine how much that would change the world?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I can see you are a good person. It's not what I would call a good person. It's a good person. Good exists on its own. It's its own measure.
Yeah.
You don't determine what good is. You determine where you stand in relation to it. And so that makes everything different when it comes time to start trusting people.
Right.
Because you look at an evil person, people say, oh, you can't judge him for being evil. Well, he's evil because of the choices that he made up until this point and his beliefs in how he's going to act going forward. He's red, he'd be lawful evil. Okay, that's the stuff he believes in. Whereas this guy over here is gold. He's a good person. He's a good person. Now, if you looked at that person in real life, you say, this is a good person. I mean, it doesn't mean they're perfect.
Right.
But how would that change how you interact with them? Well, number one, every evil person's going to want to be showing a good alignment aura.
Right.
Yeah. Because that's the first thing they want to do is get all the benefits.
Hide it, right?
Right.
Hide their true nature.
And so you get into a lot of discussions on the comments about alignments and stuff. And one of the big things is everything a good person can do and will do is permissible to an evil person. An evil person can take care of his grandmother and can kiss babies.
Right.
He can kill the janitor who didn't get the floor swept in front of him this morning. He can execute 1,000 prisoners at dawn and have them impaled. He doesn't care. He's an evil person. Anything is permissible.
I see.
For a good person, it's what they don't do. Okay, and this is why you get the opposite ends of the alignment spectrum. It's why they often say lawful good is the highest point and demons at chaotic evil are the lowest point.
Yeah, right.
It's because the actions that are available are wide open for demons. It's just a case of how many people can you casually see die? Well, if it's an entire planet's worth, well, you're probably a but if it was worth it to you to kiss grandma politely on the head and see she had a good, long, and prosperous life, you can do that too. There's nothing wrong with it.
I have a question for you then.
Yeah.
When it comes to lawful good, I'm sure you've run into the trope at your D&D tables of the lawful good paladin that is so lawful good in his convictions, he's actually very dogmatic and actually believes that an entire, maybe group of people or whatever who are just people, humans trying to do their thing. He's so kind of caught up in his God's, will that he ends up, doing bad things from that lens.
Okay, as soon as that happens, you're not a paladin. Remember, you don't determine what good actually is. Good is. You don't determine.
And you either align with it or you don't.
If you think it's perfectly fine to kill every Canadian out there because they're all rampaging abominations. Sorry, that's not true. Okay, it's not true. Yeah. And so that is where you immediately devolve into lawful stupid. Okay,
I see.
And you would immediately see that on his aura. He wouldn't be white. He'd be at best blue. And since racism is a huge tool of hell, he'd probably be starting to color red. He would not be white. He would not be a paladin. Okay, paladin.
So he could. Well, he could be kind of high in the order, but can everybody see aura in this world?
No. You have to use magic, but you're talking.
Yeah, okay.
I'm using spells from the older versions of the game.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
no alignment is a spell. Detect evil is there, and you're detecting evil. You're not detecting what I think is evil.
Right. So if you had like a Church of Lathander, like hiring clerics or paladins, they'd have someone doing tests with that
all the
spell,
time.
Like, you're not.
And from a society standpoint, the good churches and stuff would scrupulously be doing that sort of stuff.
Got it.
Because as a gamer, wouldn't you be doing that?
Yeah.
I'm going to hire this guy. Is he an evil person? That's the first thing you're going to check.
And if I can check his stats,
Is he chaotic neutral? Probably don't want him either.
Yeah, exactly.
So then how do the evil people manage?
Well,
they're just like, they can't make it in society if they're just purely evil.
Well, they would go off and do their own society, fully believing that their way is right.
Mm-hmm. I see. Okay.
I absolutely love the way
what
you've been able to break this down for us and give it, like, this was such a well thought out, like, understanding of this world. Thank you for sharing that with us, because this sounds incredibly like the amount that you're able to put in with like philosophical elements as well.
Okay.
Everyone hearing me? Are we okay?
Yes, I hear you, Ryan. Yes.
Repeat what you said.
Just the way that you set this up, it draws into question a lot of philosophical things as well. You're just thank you so much for coming on and sharing this with us today. I think this. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be checking this more out. Also, hi, Kitty Boy.
Yeah.
Sorry, we have to say hi to Kitty Boy.
Kitty Boy says hi.
And Kitty Boy is
meow, meow.
has selected the chin.
Yeah.
Yes, Red. Thank you so much for being here on.
I wish we had more time
trip.
to chat with you, because that is incredible. Like, thank you. So much
I was
for sharing.
getting into it. I could just
no
chat
kidding.
all day about it.
Where so on Royal Road, we had your website pulled up. Did we get to share that in the chat yet? I just want to make sure that people can find you online. Yeah, we'll pop that in the chat.
My Patreon?
Where would the best place for people to find your work? And bye forever.
Oh, there it is.
It is in there. Okay, good.
Okay.
If he is able to
forever. Is he really
I
gone?
will never see you again, probably, sadly.
Oh,
that
no.
was the end of it. Oh no, he's back. Okay, good. Yay. There we go.
There we go.
Sorry.
I didn't like his alignment.
God axed you, man. You were done.
You have displeased God.
No, but again, just thank you so much.
There's the Patreon link.
There's the Patreon.
Awesome.
Yep. Okay, good. We'll definitely check out the Patreon. That link is now in the chat. And any final words for the listeners and viewers here tonight?
I keep a Discord open. One of the things I do as an author is all the comments on my stories I try to reply to, or at least try to read on Royal Road. I watch the Discord closely, so if there's questions about that's where a lot of this stuff has been getting hashed out over the past 5 years as I've been writing. So people ask questions about this stuff, and a lot of, especially the alignment stuff, a lot of it's based on perspective. I just want to say my ideal of a paladin, if you've read the Dresden Files, Michael Carpenter and his crew, those guys are paladins. They act like paladins.
Yeah, very much.
Whereas if you go to Wizards of the Coast and many of the stories that you've seen on there, some of those paladins do not act lawful good.
They're not paladins.
They're not paladins. I mean, they just aren't. I mean, you look at someone like Captain America. He satisfies all the tests for what a paladin is, and he never drops into that lawful stupid behavior, or the stupid good behavior, for that time.
Right.
Well,
I'm going to be sleeping with one eye open tonight. I am Canadian. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this last Soundbooth Theater Live of the season. Red, thanks for joining us.
We love you all.
We'll see you in August.
Yes, so soon.
See you in August.
Red.
Come to LitRPG Con. See you in
Yes, we'll see you there.
August.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
You gotta be
We'll talk
there.
about alignments.
Bye, everybody.